As many of my loyal listeners have pointed out to me over the past couple of days, whenever someone goes out of their way to call you toxic, that usually means you're definitely doing something right. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So a couple of days ago, I was scrolling through Twitter, that was my first mistake, and came across this post from the account Star Wars Culture. The post read, and I quote, "Not these guys again. Hashtag Indiana Jones, hashtag Dial of Destiny." And the post featured a collage of YouTuber thumbnails, and much to my surprise, one of my thumbnails is right smack dab in the middle. Under the collage featured a not-so-clever nod to a famous Indiana Jones line that read, "Toxic YouTube reviewers, I hate these guys."
I've reached the top!
So I thought about this for a moment, and I can only really react to it in one of two ways. I could get angry and start defending myself, but when it comes right down to it, people like this have no interest in having a rational conversation with you. Not to mention, I really don't have anything to prove to anyone, so that option was instantly off the table. The other option I had would be to embrace my new toxic label. Maybe I need to do more thumbnails with the words disaster, abysmal, and doomed in big bold letters.
Let's do it!
Let's be honest, if I did that, I'd only be setting myself up for success. Because for better or for worse, those are the type of thumbnails and those are the type of videos that get people talking. Being a YouTuber, you are in a constant battle to get your videos out to more eyes. Because obviously you want people to see the videos that you spend hours of your life creating. And let's be honest, negativity brings views. A lot of channels realize that and they capitalized on it.
Hey, what am I, an asshole?
But as I always say, there is a big difference between being negative and being critical. And I have no doubt in my mind that some channels are just being negative for the sake of being negative because it works for them. Personally, I tend to look at things a bit differently, but in this world that we live in that is full of absolutes, you're either a shill or a grifter, and there's nothing in between. The online culture war has made it so it doesn't matter how well thought out and delivered your criticisms are. If you aren't unconditionally praising something, then you will be labeled toxic. Toxic is just another one of those words that have been overused and misused to the point that they've lost all meaning.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So when I see a post like this, I look at it as if it's a badge of honor. When I see a post like this, I know that my criticisms are resonating with people. And those criticisms are probably too real for some people, so they have to find a way to try to discredit me. It's like a reflex for them at this point because they are physically incapable of hearing an opinion that differs from their own. And that's exactly why I need to continue to speak my truth. If that makes me toxic in some people's eyes, then so be it. If that makes me a grifter in some people's eyes, then so be it. If that makes me divisive in some people's eyes, then so be it. If some people are so close-minded that they can't take the time to listen and understand my criticisms without judging me, then that's a them problem and not a me problem.
You can't have an intelligent conversation with this guy. Who?
The only thing I've ever been in every single one of my videos is honest, and I take great pride in that. And I very much appreciate the loyal people who recognize that and show up every single week to have discussions with me about film. I'm proud to be creating a community that isn't so accepting of mediocrity or worse, just because society is trying to bully us into doing so. It's okay to have higher standards, it's okay to question things, and it is most certainly okay to criticize things.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Now I've said this many times before in videos, but I'll say it again here because it's relevant. It's no wonder that people on social media have embraced this false narrative about toxic fandom, because the people in Hollywood have been showing them exactly how to do that for years now. Hollywood set the precedence for deflecting criticism by labeling people.
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
Lucasfilm has been known to do just that, and even as recently as this week, one of their employees actually doubled down on the toxic fan narrative. James Mangold, the director of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, found a new way this week to cope with this film's failure, when he exclaimed in an interview that fans are nothing more than Divisive for not accepting his deconstruction of Indiana Jones. When speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, the reporter presented a question to Mangold that read as follows. Life is filled with peaks and valleys, and I appreciate when my fictional heroes, such as Indy, have their own ups and downs. So why does a segment of the audience seem to want these legacy characters to be infallible? I just can't figure out why anyone would want such little drama. And just like that, the seeds were planted to use fans as a scapegoat to deflect valid criticism.
Something very familiar about all this.
Mangold replied, quote, well, there's a point where these characters become symbols more than characters. And so there becomes this anxiety that if you examine the humanity of a hero, you somehow weaken them. He continued, if a movie is about a beautiful hero who is capable of anything and is virtually indestructible, and is without any personal issues or concerns, then you just have a fashion video with action.
My, how the tables have turned.
So let me get this straight. He's using the argument that a character needs to be flawed in order for them to be interesting. Something that we fans have been saying about certain characters over the past few years, and we got called toxic for it. So if we put James Mangold's hypocrisy aside for a moment, what he's actually doing is avoiding the real problem by saying that fans don't want to see their iconic heroes go through any hardship.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
And that is not what our complaint is. Our complaint isn't about the message itself, it's how that message is being delivered. If you look at the classic deconstruction of the gunslinger character that was featured in the Clint Eastwood movie Unforgiven, that movie covers a lot of the same ground that you tried to cover in Indy 5. Unforgiven just does it a lot better. Unforgiven deals with an aging gunslinger who is coming to terms with all of the things that have happened to him in his life and the things that he has done. William Munny is portrayed as a very flawed and imperfect character who is morally ambiguous. And yes, that made the character infinitely more interesting. It's made even more interesting when you take into account that the story being told in Unforgiven is a kind of meta-commentary on Clint Eastwood's real-life career. So you had all of these factors coming into play as they attempted to deconstruct the classic gunslinger archetype.
Because it's all part of the plan.
The movie begins with William retired and trying to live a normal life. And it ends with him returning to his old ways, embracing who he is as a way of extracting revenge on the people who killed his friend. The point is that his arc was consistent with what we knew about him as a character. And we know significantly less about him than we do a character like Indiana Jones. And that's the issue here. The story you tried to tell in Dial of Destiny isn't consistent with the character that we know and love.
Son of a bitch.
Deconstruction works a lot better when it's well done, but it also involves a clear understanding of the character you are deconstructing. And to me, James Mangold and Lucasfilm as a whole demonstrated a clear lack of understanding of who Indy is. And what he tried to do was apply a lazy and overused aging legacy character trope to a character that did not need any kind of deconstruction. Before Dial of Destiny was even released, Indiana Jones' story had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's why this story feels very tacked on and unnecessary, and I would venture to say why a lot of people didn't even bother to watch it. You weren't examining Indiana Jones' humanity by making him a bitter old man. But that excuse sounds good when you're trying to make this film's critics look divisive and irrational.
Not up in here! Not up in here! Oh.
I've said this already on the channel, but James Mangold is a very capable director, but let's face it, he's no Clint Eastwood. There's a reason that he wasn't fired from Lucasfilm, like so many other directors, over creative differences. Because he bent the knee and gave Lucasfilm exactly what they wanted. And now he wants to blame fans for his own incompetence. Here's an idea, let's make another collage of people in Hollywood who attack fans because they don't know how to process criticism. We'll caption it, toxic filmmakers. I hate these guys. People like this give filmmakers a bad name, and they are the very reason that a lot of these quote-unquote toxic YouTubers make videos to this day. You are literally giving us more material and more reasons to question the way you do business as well as the way you make films.
Y'all be cool. Right on.